All right, let's talk about something so many of us have been taught to hold back: crying. Today, we're going to explore the lost art of tears, all through the story of a self-proclaimed ice queen and her incredible journey to thaw out. So, the story we're diving into kicks off with this incredibly powerful line. I mean, wow. This isn't just a clever metaphor. For the author, it's a core identity. It pulls us right into this world built on absolute control and, keeping emotions at a distance. And this is what her world looks like. It's a kingdom ruled by pure logic. Everything has its perfect place, the streets are orderly, and messy things like feelings, well, they're kept way outside the castle walls. It's all about elegant systems, not messy emotions. And that, right there, is the big question we're tackling today. This isn't just about things warming up a bit. It's about a huge, fundamental shift in how a person sees themselves and the world. What does it actually look like when those icy walls start to melt? Okay, so how does someone become an ice queen in the first place? How is an ice kingdom even built? Well, it turns out this kind of emotional armor is usually forged way, way earlier than most of us realize. The whole origin story goes back to this one seemingly tiny moment from childhood. She's just 5 years old, new to a country, and she finds this small comfort in a little toy. But her mother's angry reaction to her wanting it and the punishment that followed planted a really powerful seed. And just like that, a pattern starts. It begins with this one super intense emotional moment, crying all alone on a cold bathroom floor. But after that, over the next few years, the crying just kind of fades away. The tears simply stop. That natural human response gets unlearned. And this is one of the main tools used to build those walls of ice. I mean, we've all heard this a million times, right? It sounds like simple, practical advice. But for a kid, the message they get can be totally different. Here's where we see this huge disconnect. An adult might think they're teaching resilience, don't sweat the small stuff. But what a child often hears is that the act of crying itself is the problem. They learn that their emotions are embarrassing, that they make adults upset. And this idea gets reinforced absolutely everywhere. On the playground, crying means you're a baby. As an adult, it's something you have to apologize for. The author even points out that they never, not once, saw someone get praised for crying. So the lesson becomes crystal clear. Tears are useless. They're just a side of trouble. Okay, so that's the cultural programming that teaches us to stop. But what's actually going on in our bodies when we cry? Let's switch gears from the why not to the what is, and get into the hard science of tears. For our Ice Queen, the first signs of a thaw were a total puzzle. She'd find herself crying, but only when watching sappy movies on airplanes. How weird is that? It was so out of character that at first she just blamed it on biology, altitude, stress. But it was a clue that something much deeper was stirring. And here's the crucial part. Not all tears are created equal. The tears you cry because you're sad or moved are chemically totally different from the ones you get from, say, chopping an onion. They are a complex cocktail designed by our bodies to do a very specific job. Get this, emotional tears are literally carrying stress out of your body. Research by biochemist William Frey found they are loaded with stress hormones like cortisol. And at the exact same time, the act of crying releases endorphins, which are our body's own natural painkillers. It's a biological reset button. And this whole process is like a beautifully choreographed dance inside your brain. It's not a system failure, it's a built-in feature. Your brain's emotional center sounds an alarm, a signal gets sent, and then your body shifts into its rest and digest mode. Biologically speaking, crying is a form of self-repair. But all this incredible science flies directly in the face of the Ice Queen's core belief system. In her ordered world, emotions are basically like flies buzzing around your head, just annoying distractions from the real, logical work of solving problems. So the real turning point, the big thaw, didn't come from some Hollywood movie. It came from something way more personal. It was rediscovering the Mandarin pop music her parents used to play when she first came to the US that unlocked something deep inside. And the tears that came, they weren't just a trickle. It was a flood. And check this out. Here's the cold, hard data that just completely shatters that old idea that emotions are a nuisance. Her own biometric data from her Oura Ring show that after these big cries, her stress levels plummeted. Her body wasn't just less stressed, it was actively restored. The relief she felt was physically measurable. But here's the thing, crying isn't just one thing. As those icy walls melt, this whole rich landscape of different feelings starts to appear. So let's look at the different emotional pathways that can actually lead to tears. And this leads us to a really beautiful concept, one you've probably felt but didn't have a word for, kama mutta. These aren't tears of sadness, they're tears of profound connection. That feeling you get at a family reunion, or sharing a song with a crowd, or just a moment of feeling completely safe and loved. So as you can see, each of these types of tears really has a job to do. Tears from loneliness are like a distress signal. Tears from grief help us process pain. Tears of awe connect us to something bigger than ourselves. And kama mutta, that strengthens our bonds with each other. Each one serves a vital human purpose. Okay, so we've established that crying is this natural, healthy, super useful skill. But what if you've kind of lost it? How do you get it back? Let's jump into our final section and see how we can all start to practice this lost art. Well, the way our author describes it is almost like creating a little ritual for yourself. It's not about forcing anything, but about creating the right conditions. First, you need a sanctum, basically a safe space, like a quiet room or a walk in the woods. Second, a trigger. For her, it's music. For you, it might be old photos or even a certain smell. And third, and this is the hardest part, just stay with that feeling as it comes up without letting your logical brain jump in and shut it all down. And this all brings us to the big so what. Why does this matter so much, especially right now? Well, because as technology and AI get better and better at copying our logic, our calculations, our systems, the one thing that remains uniquely, powerfully human is our capacity to feel. So I want to leave you with this, a question for all of us, whether we see ourselves as ice queens or not. In a world that so often values control and keeping it all together, what if the real strength, the real key to navigating the future, isn't about building our walls higher, but about finally learning how to let them thaw?